All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:52 in the morning of May 6th, 2022, and this is my pre-market strategy session. Just a little bit of a comment from yesterday. Really quite a wild day on the markets yesterday. Big hit to the tech sector, down 5%. That's pretty major there. Everything was, almost everything was down, except oil. There are a couple things at oil's back here. Let's take a look at the chart on oil here real quick. Let's see, where do I keep that? I'll go to risk range plays here real quick. Go to WTI. Let me kind of clean up this chart a little bit. First, I'm going to take the Fibonacci away, and so that way you kind of see here there are a couple things going on. The blue lines here are the risk range. Oil is really close to the top end of its risk range here. And usually what that means is that, you want to take profits here at the top and then buy here at the bottom. And oil's risk range, although it's moved around here in the past 2 months, let's see, March, April, May, 3 months roughly, you can see roughly here, this is, roughly down here is where you buy and roughly up here is where you sell. Same here, roughly down here you buy, roughly up here you sell. Now, here we are, we're coming back into the top end of the risk range. So for this time around, we have, this is the 8-hour chart. And I like to use the 8-hour chart instead of the daily chart because I get a little bit more information off of the 8-hour chart. The oil trades continuously. I think it takes a break a couple of times throughout the day. I know between 5 o'clock p.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it will take a break, and close for an hour or so and then open back up again. And so the daily chart doesn't quite, although there is information definitely to be gleaned from the daily chart, it's still not quite the same as using an 8-hour chart where you can see, for example, here's the US, this is the US session right here. Then there's Asia's session, then Europe. US, Asia, Europe, US, Asia, Europe, so on and so on and so on. And so you can kind of get a little bit of, a little bit more detail on what's happening with price at that point. Although I do have some bottom support here. I have a line. Let me get these risk range lines out of the way. You can see on the on this chart. Let me go back to the daily here because I used the daily in order to make this chart. This line, put this line in, and so you can kind of see roughly here. This trend line right here acted as resistance. It blew past it. Now it's come down and acted as support. And on top of that, this thing, I'm going to go to the weekly here, and let me get the trend line out of the way. This thing is making a bull flag. This is a classic bull flag if I've ever seen one. Got, sort of the flagpole here, and then the flag. And typically, generally speaking, the way these things resolve themselves is the way you enter the flag is the way you exit the flag. And it looks to me as though it's very close to breaking out. There could be another head fake in here before it breaks out. There could be a little bit more consolidation in here before oil starts to make its way higher. But as of right now, it's looking really bullish. There are a couple of things at oil's back as far as the price per barrel of oil. Actually, there are a few things. Well, first of all, there's this war going on between Russia and Ukraine, which, for whatever damn reason, I don't know why, the United States has decided to inject itself into. We think, gosh, I pray to God that we can survive this Biden administration. I pray to God that this country can survive what the Biden administration. I don't know what the deal is, but the Biden administration is hell bent on, I think, destroying both Ukraine and Russia. You know, I don't. My rationalization for it is speculative. It's purely speculative, and I think it has. This is my personal opinion. I think it has something to do with the corruption that we've seen from the Biden family in both Ukraine and Russian business dealings. The Biden family has a proven track record of doing business in the Ukraine and in Russia and making many, many millions of dollars. And I don't know, I mean, this is just my personal perspective. I have no proof other than, you know, sort of what's observable, you know. I have no documentation. I have no emails that state intent or anything on, you know, the current policy with Russia and Ukraine, you know. But from just my perspective, you know, what I can see stochastically, empirically, is there is enough dirt. Both Russia and Ukraine have enough dirt on the Biden family that it's in Biden's interest to see both of them be destroyed. I mean, you know, like, why not? Well, all right. So we are poking the bear. Apparently, Biden's funneled another $33 billion toward support for Ukraine, and there was some kind of an article on the front page of the New York Times bragging about how we'd aided Ukraine in killing Russian soldiers. Now, let me tell you something. I served 3 years in Afghanistan. I served 3 years, 1 year as a soldier and 2 years as a contractor over in Afghanistan. I was doing tactical satellite communications. And, you know, I've been to dozens. I mean, I'd say easily 3 dozen forward operating bases and combat outposts in Afghanistan. And that includes the big fobs, you know, like, you know, Bagram and Kandahar. Geez, what's the other one? There's another big one in the west. And there were Russians. If Russia wanted to give us a hard time in Afghanistan, they could have made our lives screaming hell, bloody screaming hell, if they wanted to, but they didn't. In fact, their, you know, goals, our Russia's goals and the United States goals, you know, were rather well aligned. You know, they wanted to see, you know, sort of the Taliban and you know, extremist organizations, terrorist organizations, you know, eliminated just as much as we did, you know. And there are Russians all over the place in Afghanistan, by the way. When you get out into the little forward operating bases and combat outposts, and so really for us to be over there giving Russians hell right now is a spit in their face. Like, we are spitting in their faces. They were really very helpful in Afghanistan for us. They flew, you know, cargo helicopters. They had men on the ground, you know, doing who knows what, but they were there, you know, and they helped us. They stayed out of our way. And now here we are starting shit with them and killing their generals, killing their people. That is not going to sit well, you know. And the Biden, I think, God, I'm praying that the Russians can see past this current administration. And I know it's got to be really difficult for them to suck up, you know, deaths of their comrades, their brothers in arms. You know, you got people who are fighting next to you, you know, dodging bullets along the side of you. You know, that's a different thing. That's not the same thing as, like, you know, political rivalries. You know, there's, you know, I have friends who I may not see for another 20 or 30 years, but I know that when I see them again, there'll be a sort of a nod, hey, how's it going? And it's just like, we'd never missed a day. And that's because we were over in Afghanistan, dodging bullets and dodging mortars and explosions and shit. So what's happening right now with our involvement in Russia is a goddamn travesty. It's just as corrupt as possible. And I really hope it's looking to me like this current administration, U.S. administration, is trying to push us into war. Hot conflict with Russia, and it's bullshit. Fuck Ukraine. All right. In any case, that's one of the main things that's driving the price of oil higher right now. We're also headed into what's considered usually an uptick in the driving season. Usually, we are seeing more traffic on the road this time of the year, people wanting to travel from place to place and so on. And also a cut in production. So oil production has been cut, and there have been oil supply disturbances. And so it's all very, very bullish for oil. So right now, though, what I want to do, the way I'm going to do it, is there are a couple things happening here. So here I put a Fibonacci on the 25th of February to the top of the 8th of March here. And we are bouncing around the 50% mark right now. And on the daily here, you can't really see, but on the, like say the 10-minute or the hourly, here's the 50% mark on that from that move. And so, what I want to see is a little bit of a pullback here. I'm buying on red days. So when oil's pulling back, I'm buying. And let me show you a couple other things too here. So, and the reason I'd like to wait, there are a couple of reasons I like to wait. So here's the 50% Fibonacci retracement level that I think it's going to take a little bit more time for oil. We've had this run up. I think this has been a 10% run up in the past, like roughly 2 weeks right here. From here to here. Oh, that's a 15% move in the past 2 weeks. So a little bit of a pullback here is okay, and that's also in accordance with this is Hedge Eye's risk range right here. So here's the top end of oil, at 110.98, and it's kind of it could hit that again today. It's really quite possible that we could see a breakout move, starting today. Why not? I don't think so. I'd like to start making my trades on a pullback. A couple of red days, and then I'll start buying. So a little bit of patience here on oil, I think, is necessary. And so here's that trend line that I had drawn before. But now let's take a look at. Let's use. I don't know. Should we use the top? I'd rather use the close up here to the close over here. You can see there's in this recent formation right here. You can see. There's the breakout, right? So there's the breakout, okay? And usually, on a breakout like that, you can just kind of start averaging in. Even if it starts dipping down again, say 5% or something like that, then it's okay, because if you're averaging in, then yeah, you're kind of catching it at the top. If I were to average in today, I'd be sort of catching it at the top of this move. Just experience tells me that it's going to kind of move down again a little bit here. It's going to take a little bit of a rest after the past 3 rather significant up days, and then after that it can start going up. Now, the biggest threat to this bull, this is an extremely bullish chart. It really doesn't get much more bullish than that as charts go. But the threat to that is peace negotiations, which, I have my fingers crossed for. I pray for it at night. That there's peace that is just very quickly and suddenly negotiated between Russia and Ukraine, and it's for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that I've got two young sons. I want them to grow up in a world that's, peaceful. We don't have countries going at each other's throats and killing each other. And the threat of nuclear war is extremely, in comparison to a year ago, in comparison to 18 months ago. If you were to ask me, what the likelihood on a scale of 1 to 10, the probability of nuclear attacks occurring anywhere in the world, much less on U.S. soil, I would have been, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would have been like 1. But if you ask me now, I'm like 5, maybe 6. The possibility of there being a nuclear warhead lobbed from one country into another, or some crazy shit like that, the probability is considerably higher now than it was before this goddamn administration, basically stole the election in 2020. Fuck it. They stole the goddamn election in 2020. And here we are, we're dealing with these a mental patient for a president, a corrupt mental patient for a president. The guy's senile, and the administration, all these social justice warriors who think they're so damn smart are trying to run a country, and probably none of them ever even run a business, much less probably never even balanced a checkbook. A bunch of irresponsible fucktards. So, I'm praying for oil to tumble. I'm praying for oil to dive down and fall. But that is not the way things are looking right now. And until things change, unfortunately, I'm bullish on oil. If I'm going to go long on it, then I'm going to wait for a pullback, and then I'm going to start buying. But keep your fingers crossed. This is one. If I lose money on this, if I lose money going long on oil, I don't mind. If oil starts crashing, I'm okay with that, because you know what that means? That means that possibly Russia and Ukraine have looked past whatever sort of thing is being instigated between the two of them, instigated and perpetuated between the two of them, and they're somehow able to say, okay, let bygones be bygones. Somehow, somebody will say, okay, we don't need NATO on, in Ukraine, whatever. I don't know, but the sooner this shit stops, the better. And also, I want it to stop because it's empowering this administration right now. They think that they're going to get political support after one wrong move made by Russia, or who knows, and get the American people all stirred up into a frenzy over, attacking and killing Russians, or whatever the hell you want to say, however you want to say it, but it's really just kicking a bee's nest. And a lot of people who've never seen war, a lot of people who've never seen bullet wounds, dead people, a lot of people who've never seen the horror of war and what it actually is, are really doing the best they can to push us toward it. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time there are a whole bunch of people here in the United States. We got there's a level of hubris in this country that could stand for some humility and be humbled. Bunch of Facebook, Twitter assholes could really use it. I'd hate to see it. I'd rather them continue to be assholes than injured assholes. All right, everybody. That's my rant for today. It's Friday, going into the weekend. Have a great weekend. I'm out.